And we are live. Good afternoon, everybody. It is the last day of September, or excuse me, August. Don't get ahead of myself there. And what a beautiful day. At least where I am, I know there's been storms all over the state and people are out of power and whatnot, but we're still in power where I'm at. And so I have a new guest, new friend. Some of you might know her, but Tracy Johnson, who is the head of the broker support team. And Tracy's been doing a number of things for the company, handles a lot of phone calls with agents. And Tracy's been with us, I think now since about 2012 or 13 as an agent. So welcome, Tracy.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah. And so today we're going to spend some time talking about listings, but in a couple of different ways. We can dive into some specifics, but I think we want to also talk about the broader picture. And so I don't know, Tracy, if you wanted to try to say a couple of things right in this area right now, what you might be thinking about.
Well, we're just talking about as the market is changing and we're thinking about what others are thinking about, and the best ways to win are you need buyers or you need sellers. And I think we were going to focus really on listings and sellers today and knowing what it takes to win to get a listing. And so that's really kind of the purpose of what today is going to be about: how to win and how to get listings.
Yep. So let's start with how are you going to find somebody that's going to list?
Yeah.
And I was reading something today, and they were talking about, you can have the best presentations, you can have the best market knowledge, you can be smooth and perfect in all ways, but there's a lot of people that are there, but they still don't do a lot of business. And so the question is, well, why? I mean, here they are. Don't people know how knowledgeable this agent is, this wonderful human being? And so it appears and it looks like everything is put together. You're dressed well, you look good, you're prepared, you're ready to roll, but things aren't happening. And we know that inventory is low. It's been low for a long time. So there has to be a lot of people right now that are kind of struggling with this, what is going on? And I think what we want to do is kind of revert back a little bit to what are the things that take place, Tracy? I'm just going to say the word. I know it's not a popular word, but lead generation or prospecting.
Yeah, and I think, again, not having been an agent as long as you have been, that word, at times in history probably is a really negative word to people like you, because your broker back in the day probably talked to you about dialing for dollars and all these little phrases, that they used to have for people that just said, you just need to dial and dial some more. And when you're done, you need to dial again. And I think, in the world of Ninja, which we at 5-Star have probably had around for maybe 7 to 8 years, I would say, somewhere in that range.
I think we're in that 7-year range now that we talked. I mean, other than the year or so of COVID.
Yeah. So I think in the world of Ninja, they have taught us one thing, and that is that it's far better to be in the flow of people that you know than it is to be working with people that you don't know. So staying in the flow with people is probably the best thing you could do. I think Kim Anderson talks about conversations. She says, no conversations equal no business, right? Because it's all about conversations. Yeah. Who are you having conversations with? So then the question is, what are the ways we can have conversations, Greg?
Well, when I look at this, I'm going to go back here a second. I'm going to read something that I saw in Ninja. This guy says, for my entire real estate career, the chant or the task, the call to action for success has been to make your prospecting calls. Because I heard it for so many decades, I ended up with a pretty strong negative response to, you have to make your calls. To me, it falls into that old school smile and dial hardcore sales category that Larry Kendall appropriately calls depression era sales techniques. Remember this old one. If I have to call 100 people to get one yes, that means I have to get 99 no's to get the yes. If a yes is worth 10,000, that means that every time I get a no, I effectively just earned $100, which is what you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy says that never swayed me one bit. I still never wanted to make my calls. Prospecting is prospecting, and I don't like to be prospected. So why would I do prospecting calls? Then this person says, I was introduced to Ninja. And so, once again, it may sound like we're beating a dead horse here, but I just keep coming back to this, is that the liberation that Ninja provides is that Ninja calls aren't prospecting calls.
Right.
They are connecting calls, motivated by a genuine interest in the other person. We use the acronym FORD to remind us of the core values of people's lives and make sure the calls are meaningful, not superficial. If you've never heard FORD, Tracy.
Family, occupation, recreation, and dreams.
And so if you just follow that formula, that acronym, hey, Tracy, how's the family? How's Eric doing? And on and on. And then how's your job? Is everything going well there? And just that normal. And then, hey, have you guys been playing tennis still? Or are you into golf now? Or are you kayaking? And then dreams, man, are you guys taking off any place this year? Or what's happening? And so just that, it's got to be natural though, right? It can't be, it's got to be conversational, I guess, is the bottom line.
Right. It has to be relatable to the other person. And if you're a good CRM person, you should be taking notes about your conversation. So when you circle back to them at a later date, you can remember something. And it's a good way to be connecting in that you're looking at people's social media accounts. Hey, I noticed, your son had a birthday the other day. It becomes very relatable. Right. And that's the thing about Ninja, is you are in the flow with them because you know all these other things that are happening in their life out here.
So this guy goes on in this article and he says that, the goal isn't to get off the phone, but when you're prospecting 100 calls, the goal is to get off the phone because you've got 99 more to go, right? Mm-hmm. But in this type of a flow that you're talking about, remember, it is a meaningful connection. It could be 20 to 30 minutes. And especially if you haven't talked to the person in a year, even if real estate never comes up, that part will take care of itself. Because it's the relationship that these people are going to reach it back out to you. So anyway, we just wanted to put that, when I was younger in real estate, I used to talk about the 4 pillars of a successful real estate career or business. And to me, it was lead generation. I don't care how you did it. Everybody does it differently. Successful people all do it differently, but the point is they're all doing it. The least successful people absolutely despise this part of the business. Mm-hmm. And it's the part that they have to do. So I'm not quite sure what somebody's thinking when they get into real estate and they don't want to do lead generation, because that is what we do. And so then I saw this other thing going on, and there was a conversation, and somebody was teaching, and it might have been even somebody like me, because I've talked about this before, about know your market and understand it better than anybody, know your stats. And
you said know your stats? You said that?
Yeah, I did. I have said that several times. Yeah. And so a guy pipes in here on the comment section, and he says, my friend, when he's talking about, know your market, that's how you're going to win listings. He says, my friend, you completely missed the mark on this article. Training and mentoring are typically what they cite as the reason for leaving, and it's partly true. The real reason agents failed is because, one, they didn't realize they were now business owners and act accordingly. So Tracy, how do you, when you hear that, how does that hit you? And when you think about your own career, how does that work?
Well, I would say how I look at it is from a perspective of like where I sit now versus where I was before. From where I sit now, I truly know, like when I first started, I passed that test. I didn't know anything, but I knew people. That's what I knew. I knew people. I took a real estate test. I said yes to doing something that I didn't know a lot about. And after you finish the test, you really know nothing. But I started connecting with people. And where I sit today is we're trying to teach agents the business, right? If you're a new to industry agent and you land here at 5-Star Real Estate, we have a broker support team and we have our deal doctor team. We have a marketing team. We have all these people that are here to help you be successful. So we're in the background teaching you how to do a market analysis, how to write contracts, what is an agency relationship? How do I establish one? When do I establish one? So there are all these pieces and parts of the business that help you once you get your client. But what we don't do is we don't tell you what time to get up in the morning. We don't tell you who you should call. We don't tell you, hey, you should probably have 10 phone calls a day, 2 coffees a week, a couple of dinners. We're not in charge of that part of your life because that's where the business is going to come from. And so no one is going to wave your flag. I always say this, no one's going to wave your flag the way that you do. And so when Greg talked about having these meetings with people or even your Ford calls, you don't have to tell them that you're a real estate agent. You're building their trust, and eventually you will be their trusted professional. That happens through the relationship. So we can teach you all the parts of how to do the perfect CMA. Greg, you talked about walking into the listing appointment with that perfect package. We can teach you how to do that, but you have to learn to sell yourself because you are in the relationship business and no one is going to sell you the way you sell you.
You talk about walking into the house, and just to hit on that briefly, we have seen and heard, and I've experienced, so many different methods here of winning a client over, once you actually get to the house. And, some agents prefer to take the tour of the house first. Take me through your home. Tell me about your home. The next person says, you know what, I'm just going to take a walk around myself, make some notes. I'll meet you down in the living room here in a few minutes. Another person walks in and says, hey, can we go sit at the kitchen table, or can we sit in the living room, whatever, and let's just chat. And they don't even have any paperwork on them. They're just there to have a conversation. And I've heard some of our most successful people go in sometimes with absolutely no big presentation. They just go in and have a conversation. They're there to find out who these people are, what their wants and needs are, where their pain points are, what they're trying to accomplish. And it's conversational. And again, it's connecting. And I think that fits in with Ninja. But back to this, they didn't realize they were now business owners and act accordingly. They treat it more like a job, waiting for someone to give them instructions. They didn't know what business they were in. And here's the big hint. It's the lead generation business. That's what the top agents do. And so I hear lots of reasons why people get into the business. A lot of times it's like, well, they love looking at homes and they love helping people. And those are all wonderful things, but I'm here to tell you that the likelihood of someone being successful with just that, probably not going to work. They need to have the business mindset. And part of that business mindset is a desire to know more, a desire to learn more. And so what you see is that generally the top agents, you don't have to inspire them. They're not going to be waiting for me to show up. They're already in front of me and they're racing and they're running. They have a sense of urgency. And then they also have something called grit. And the grit goes along with that word perseverance. And they're able to give and give and give. And yet, when somebody doesn't accept their giving and might even be mean, they're not mentally destroyed.
Right.
They're not emotionally destroyed. They're able to get right back up and keep rolling. And a lot of people that have gotten into real estate don't have that ability. They are emotionally crippled when somebody doesn't be nice and acknowledge what they're giving and offering.
Yeah.
So anyway, it goes on here and it says, teaching them about the market or how to use the MLS is useless without a solid prospect to impart this knowledge. This is also where most training and mentoring programs fail. Teaching them how to use the MLS to do a CMA may make them feel like they are being productive, yet ultimately it fails to make them productive. So yes, this article is completely off in my estimation. And then the next guy says, agreed. What good are scripts and market knowledge if one doesn't have any business?
Right. Yeah, this is why your day has to be in two parts. I remember when I started, everyone at the office recommended that I watch David Knox videos. And I remember, like, they were cataloged, and I would come to Grand Rapids and I would take some out and I would take them home and I would watch them. But without the business, none of the videos made a lot of sense either. So part of your day needs to be figuring out how to connect, and the other part needs to be in learning the back end of the business, so that when you have a client, you know how to write a contract, you know how to write a CMA, because one without the other is no good.
Right. And so Ninja offers a path. And I believe one of the key areas is they talk about the 9, what is it? The 9 things you must do every day.
It's your Ninja 9.
Your Ninja 9. And it basically lays out exactly what you do every day when you get up. And that's the other problem that we've seen is that, one thing is understanding you're a business owner when you're a real estate agent. It's another thing to be a business person that has the knowledge to know what. I think a lot of people wake up in the morning and they go, I don't know what to do today.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think I've called everybody I know. I've written letters, I've done the open houses, I've done everything they tell me to do, and it's just not working. And so I've always said to people, well, okay, so is it possible? Have you evaluated what you're doing and what you're saying and how you're doing it? And because everything will work to a certain extent if you just do something. And so I know that we have agents in the industry, probably not any at 5-star, of course, that are prickly and need to win and are always right. And so when you are focused on growing a business, you're going to let a lot of those things go, and you're not going to get dragged off in a different direction. I'm sure, Tracy, that, when you think about how many different ways you could get distracted in a day, how do you stay on course?
I don't know. I think each person is different. I'm just a very motivated person, and to me, I have a helper. That's my my DNA is that I'm a helper. So being a real estate agent became a natural fit for me, because my husband told me I need to start this business called AskTracy.com. And you experienced some of this too, but just, I would get called into these weird areas. Like, I'd be on the phone and be like, who was that? Oh, it was Mary. She wanted me to help her find airline tickets for a good deal somewhere. Like, why did they call you? So I just took that area of my life and applied it to how I could actually help people and then earn a living doing it. So I took all the skills that I had in my other life and put it to work here. So if you can always think about the fact that your job about selling is making everything work for everyone, whether whether you represent the buyer or the seller, your goal is the same. You're making the sale come together and you have a solution at the end for everybody. So if the solution is the end game and that's what you have, that you're focused on, then that's the way you're going to start your day. How am I going to get business? And I'm not going to get business by just sitting at home, by just going and even sitting at the office each day. But you're going to find business through people, through relationships.
And so you talk, and Ninja talks a lot about this flow thing. Tell me more for the people that maybe haven't been exposed to this. What is that really talking about?
Well, when you're in the flow with someone, I would say, if you look at a river, right? A river is like living water. It moves. It's constantly moving. So if you're in the flow, that means you're in the movement in someone's life. So when you're in the flow with people, you know things about them. You know things that are happening. That means you're interacting with them. Now, some people you might be in the flow a little bit more than others. Does that mean it's 1 touch a month? 5 touches in a year, whatever that is, you decide what the flow is. But being in the flow with something is something that's continual. It doesn't have a beginning and an end. That's how I look at flow.
Okay, very good. So if we kind of segued over now to, we basically, I don't want to beat this to death, but I hope that no one leaves this and doesn't walk away going, how am I a business? How am I not a business? What could I do to be more of a business and than I am currently? What is it that I'm missing? Who could I talk to that would help me?
Mhm.
What book or what website could I go to help me? Because the resources are out there, are phenomenal, and they're endless. And so here's the deal at 5-Star. We've never believed that we could tell somebody in a situation like we're doing right now exactly what they need to do. If you wanted to seek us out, whether it be Tracy or Paul or Kim or Marissa, Doug Hale, Cindy, all of these people are available. They're probably not going to call you and try to force you to do anything. But if you took advantage of the ability to call them, pursue them in a way that, you know, you are looking for guidance and counsel, it's all there, people. But again, we as a company are not going to typically run a 101 class of here's how you fill out a buy sell. We just have never, over the 26 years, we've just never seen that as effective as going, well, tell you what, here's a property address, fill out a buy sell agreement, and then I'll review it for you. But you're going to have to approach us because we know that you want it. And because you're going to pursue it, because you've decided this is a business and that it's your responsibility. And it's not a job where somebody's going to come to you and say, this is what I need you to do today. No, you are that person that's coming to you and holding you accountable. And I think that's where a lot of people fail in the real estate or an independent contractor business such as this, in that they didn't quite understand that it was up to them. And that nobody's going to do it for you. No broker can do it for you. No franchise can do it for you. If they could do it, they would take most of the commission and leave just a very little drop for you at the very end, if they could make it happen themselves. It's the agents that make this thing work, the relationships that they have with people, and it's up to you to create those relationships and to build those connections, as Tracy was talking about. When I first saw Tracy, where she was actually lives in a place very close to where I live, and I was watching her make these phone calls and answering people, and I was so curious. And this was before she was in real estate, and I just thought, what are you doing? And same thing her husband was asking her. And as I thought about it, I thought, she's connecting, she's assisting, she's helping, she's giving. Those are all the things that are attributes of very successful business owners. They give and they give and they give, and they don't scowl and frown, at least for very long, if something goes sideways. They get over it and they move on. And so, but Tracy, we got a couple minutes left. When you meet somebody, when you go to a house and you don't know them, how do you talk about your value?
Mhm. Well, I would say, first of all, most of the people I meet, maybe I don't know them, but they know someone that knows me. It's very rare that I get a call out of the blue from somebody that doesn't know me at all. So when I get to their table, that's the fun part, is the connecting part, because I'm already connecting myself to the person that allowed me to get that seat at the table. So that immediately brings everything down, because they already feel like they know me. Because when someone gives you a referral, that referring person, when you've done a good job for someone, that makes them feel really good. Oh, hey, I know somebody. Let me give you the phone number, And so my job is to make them look really good, because they just helped me get a seat at the table. So the place I provide value is just really in who I am. It's for them to get to know me. I think I'm approachable. I show them, this is the business that I run. This is how I do things. I'm a connector, but I'm a communicator. And so you're going to hear from me a lot. What's the best way you'd like to communicate, right? Is it by text? Is it by phone? And depending on age, sometimes that's how they like to communicate. And you're going to find even, people in their 60s and 70s, guess what? They prefer the text too. But that meeting that happens at the table, I usually take the tour of the house first. And then we've got a little bit more to talk about. I've seen some things about their house. Maybe I might recognize, oh, they're in the military, or this person's a firefighter. I'll always look at books. So if I'm in the library, if I'm looking at their books, what do they read? Tells me something about them.
Yeah.
I look for clues.
So, I've heard, it's like if I go to the other side of this and I go, well, I wonder what these buyers and sellers, what do they want from us?
Mm-hmm.
Why do they hire us? Why do they pay us these, what I'm going to call pretty substantial sums of money?
Mm-hmm.
What are their expectations of us?
Yeah, I think the number one thing is they're expecting a really good communicator. In our buying guidebook that we have, there's a page in there. It's probably like the third or fourth page in that book, but it shows these little green bubbles, and it shows 1 to 10. And I always open up that part of that book and I show them there are 10 basic steps to get us from 1 to 10. And notice one thing, it's not a straight line. And there are no two transactions that are the same. My job is to be your guide, to get you from 1 to 10 with as few side steps in between as possible. And that to me describes what it's like, what they should expect, because I can never adequately describe the disruption in someone's life when you list their house. No matter how much I think I've described it, I can guarantee you I have not said it enough.
Interesting. So I've written down 4 things here that I think that they're looking to us for. Number 1, they want top dollar.
Yep.
They expect that they're going to get more money than if they do this on their own. Number 2, they want somebody to negotiate. Most people do not like to go head to head with somebody, whether it's selling a car or a boat or anything. It's uncomfortable. So that third party gives people that distance. So a negotiator that they trust. They want somebody that's going to limit mistakes or eliminate mistakes. Maybe would be even better. Eliminate the mistakes. And I'm going to avoid trouble. And, I heard a guy say there was, what did he say? How did he say this? He said, it's a very, most of these people only do this a few times in their life. And so therefore it's unknown. It's also, excuse me, a mistake could be costly.
Mhm.
And so there was a third one, and I can't remember it right now, but the bottom line is we have to understand what they are looking for. And sometimes I think you could just flat out ask them, what do you think it is that, what do you think that one or two things that I do that are the most important to you, or why would you hire an agent? I mean, I don't have a problem throwing stuff like that out and just go where the conversation leads. But I do think that they hire you for advice, knowledge, counsel, options, choices. They love to have you provide options and choices, like you can do this or you can do this. I mean, who doesn't like a choice? And I don't think anybody likes to be just put into one little box, as you said earlier, and just follow that same line. So they want you to stage their property to get top dollar. They want you to use your expertise to help them obtain top dollar, top value. And they need counsel.
Mhm.
It's a stressful deal, and you can provide unbiased, calm, and I think that that's one of the things that we can absorb. At least I learned over my 44 years of doing this, that people would say things at times that were sometimes rude, sometimes a little bit, wow, that was tough.
Mhm.
And sometimes directed at me or our industry. And I learned that part of my job was I had to be able to take those hits and not react or to fight back,
Mhm.
but it was just to absorb those things and say, yep, I understand how you could feel that way. I've heard of situations, and I'm just here to assure you that that's not how I do business.
Yeah.
And so whereas I think some of the people that struggle want to fight back and argue. You will never win in this business by arguing with people.
No.
So if you like to argue, I would try to find ways not to do that.
Yeah.
And we talked about this a little bit in the previous live stream that I did with Paul about, well, my lovely wife just walked in here in the middle of my live stream. Can I talk to you later? Oh, yes, go. Oh, no, I've been to the mailbox. Sorry, folks.
That's okay. I think what you're describing, though, is you're describing that one must know their value and be able to articulate their value when they're in front of people. And that's a big piece of it, is knowing your value, knowing that you're an advice giver, that you're knowledgeable, that you are going to be their trusted counselor, and that you can offer marketing advice and staging advice and all of those things.
Yep.
Is to know your value.
So to wrap this up, Tracy, how would you wrap this conversation up today that we just had? What's the key takeaways that you think the agent should walk away with today?
Yeah, I think it's just that. It's that you have value, whether you're a new to industry agent or an agent that's been in the business a while, you have value, even if you're new. When I was new, I knew I still had value because I was a trusted person who had a sphere of influence, who people already knew me, they liked me, and they trusted me. And when I got started, I was encouraged to write a letter that said, hey, I'm in real estate. I'm new, I don't know anything about real estate, but let me tell you about the people behind me. And that's how I got to be their trusted professional. So I think for our agents, whether you are new or been in the business for a while, we can't encourage you enough to get in front of people, to have coffee, to have lunches, to make phone calls, to write letters. Write letters, people love them. They love to get something in the mail. It will make a difference, and they will reach out to you and they will remember that you did that. All right.
Well, hey, I think we're going to call it. And I hope that everybody was able to get something out of this that they can use today. And best wishes to everybody as we head into the fall.
Yeah,
Talk
great.
to you later.
Thanks, Greg. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.